Well, Josh Bula, thank you for coming and sitting with us. Today is December 7th. It's Saturday, 2024. And my name is P.L. Malcom, and I'm with the FBA Legacy Project. And I'm here today with Josh Bula, who's just been inducted into the Legacy Project and most recently the FBA Hall of Fame Roll of Distinction. And so congratulations on that honor. That was about a month ago, and I was there, and I thought it was fantastic. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Josh, I would just like to sit with you a few minutes and kind of learn your story. So could you give us a little bit of background of how you got started into music or music education?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I love music ever since I was a little kid. So when I was in middle school, obviously, the band was the obvious choice to go into band, and became a percussionist, and and just all through high school, I just was really passionate about it, and also with computers and technology. I remember even before middle school having like a Commodore 64 in elementary school and stuff like that. So my parents bought me my first computer, Commodore 64, like when I was in 5th grade or so.
Yeah, you were one of the cool kids to have the Commodore 64.
Exactly, yeah.
You wouldn't happen to have that today, would you?
I don't. I wish I still had it.
Everybody wishes.
I know, yeah.
Okay. Well, where did you go to school? What was your middle school? What was your high school?
It was Bradford County, Stark. So Bradford Middle School, Bradford High School.
Very rural country school.
Rural, yeah. First band director was Jim Peranto. So he was a percussionist himself also, so he got me started as a percussionist, and then he left and Jimmy Brownlee came in and took over, and he was also really into computers, so we had both the computers and the band stuff in common.
So being a kid, being very impressionable, you really were impressed by their skills, and so that's great.
Yeah.
And then high school, you went to?
Bradford High School. Buddy Ball was my first band director.
Buddy Ball.
And then Don Hardy was the choral director. And so I had a good relationship with him too. I sang in the chorus, I think, 1 or 2 years. But he also started, doing music technology at the school as well. So we had like these Apple computers or these PC computers with like the black and the green screens and all that. And so he was like printing music and sequencing music and stuff like that using the computer.
And back then it was like you had to enter like code just to print the paper or...
Right, yeah.
It was
before mice and Windows and all that kind of stuff. It was all DOS-based.
No click in action.
Right.
So where was the spark? What was the thing that said, man, I really enjoy doing this. Maybe I want to continue doing this. Was there a eureka moment for that, or...
Probably when I was in my junior year, I became section leader, and kind of was the percussion instructor for the whole school, basically, for the band program. So I'm just a section leader, so I would like go to camps and stuff to learn whatever I could, and then come back and teach that. So that's kind of where I got my start teaching, and that's when I decided I wanted to be a band director and major in music education and so forth.
So you found the joy in teaching.
Yeah.
That's great. So where did you go next after high school?
FSU. So to start working on a Bachelor of Music Education at Florida State. And barely made it into the percussion studio. I don't think I was really that good of a percussionist, I was really good at like drums and marching band, that kind of stuff, but all the mallets and timpani and ear training stuff, kind of struggled with that a little bit. But,
so you felt like it was kind of a slow beginning, but I'm sure I remember you in college being, the beginning guy. I thought you were great then, so I wouldn't be too hard on yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, freshman year was a little rough, but after that I got in the hang of it and started to grow a lot faster and so forth. And I think by my sophomore year I was in wind orchestra, so I was kind of surprised that happened. I think part of it was because they rehearsed at the same time as Marching Chiefs, and I wasn't in Marching Chiefs at the time, so they kind of put percussionists wherever they could
worked
fit
out
in their schedule and all that. But
well,
it was,
and the wind orchestra at that time, it was a lot of graduate students. So a sophomore playing with those guys, you had to really step up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And you felt that.
Jim Croft was conducting at the time, so getting to be in an ensemble with Dr. Croft conducting, that was amazing as well. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
So time goes quickly doing your undergrad, and then what happened next for you?
I taught at Newberry High School in Alachua County. Small little rural school again. I think I had like 50 people in the band, maybe even smaller. But it was fun. It was it was a good job. The kids enjoyed it. Kids worked hard, and
it's also one of those things. You don't have to be big to have quality, and you guys were a small group, but your groups were always solid.
Yeah, thanks.
And again, it's just the testimony of your talent and your growth in music and your love and sharing for that.
Right. Yeah.
So you did 3 years at Newberry?
3 years at Newberry.
And then what was next?
I moved to Tampa to USF. Did my master's degree at USF with Bill Wiedrich, conducting. So.
Wow, great conductor, just a marvelous spirit and soul.
Right. Yeah. I first met him when I was interning with Ricky Fleming at Boone High School in Orlando, and I remember he had Bill Wiedrich come in to just do a guest conducting, just work with the band basically for an hour or two, and really enjoyed watching him work and just the rapport he had with the students and the musicality and everything that he was teaching them, and we hit it off really well, and I had him come up to Newberry a few times while I was teaching at Newberry and got to know him, and when it was time to get a master's degree, that was like my top choice, is to go to USF and study with him. So, yeah.
Well, even though you're from this small little town, you have an amazing pedigree. All these names that you're talking about are just really inspiring teachers. So I really feel that you were, helped along the path here with high quality people. So you're really, really fortunate.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially at FSU. I mean, as my undergrad and the PhD, as well as USF with Bill Wiedrich, and there were either like some of the grad students at USF too also were a big help. Like, I can't think of any right, but Rebecca Phillips.
Oh yeah.
We were both in the conducting program together at USF, so getting to know her was a lot of fun as well. So.
Yeah, very talented person.
Yeah.
Really a great person too. Mm-hmm. So you finish at USF with your master's, and then do you go and teach again, or?
Yeah, I went to Brevard County at Bayside High School, and I was there for a year. It was kind of a struggle, but it was a great school, great kids, great support. But then the job at Leon High School opened up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's a great opportunity.
It's a great opportunity. Couldn't pass it up. So.
Yeah. And at that time, Leon, was and still is today, one of our proud historic programs with great directors. So to even be invited to come up there and interview, I'm sure that was a really great opportunity. And you get the gig. Yeah. And so how long are you at Leon at this point?
I was there for 6 years.
Okay, awesome. And then you had the itch to go back to school, and
originally I was thinking, because I had started like the last couple of years that I was there. It may have been even just been the last 1 year that I was there. I started an electronic music program, and because they had like this computer lab that they were doing like reading something on, and it was free for a period, and so I was able to find some software, and you didn't need like a lot of equipment for it, just the software is all they needed. So I was lucky to have the support of the administration to kind of just start an electronic music program using that computer lab that was free. And that kind of I kind of enjoyed electronic music and stuff also, ever since like I was a little kid, and all through my career and stuff. So that was an interest to me also. It was just how to get not necessarily just electronic music, but also like tapping into talents of other kids that might not be interested in band, choir, orchestra. They've got like GarageBand on their computer or whatever, and they're making a lot of good music. How can we bring them into the music education system, to get their talents even on a better trajectory,
Yeah, how can we invite them into music that's not in a traditional, like you said, band, chorus, orchestra,
right? Yeah.
And electronic music? I just honestly think this is a big wave in the future for us, and that will continue to expand. So maybe we can talk a little bit about some future stuff here later in the interview. But you started that program. And then so you went back and got your doctorate in music, but I think you had an emphasis in technology.
Right, yeah. 'Cause my goal was kind of to try to do something in music technology or music education technology. So I went to start the PhD, and I didn't really want to go into the band world there, but focus more on because they had MIDI program there. They've got the recording studio, the commercial music program, and so forth. So
yeah, and so the people that are watching this interview, you have to understand that this is all the beginning. This is all just starting to emerge.
Yeah, this was like 2008, I guess.
Yeah, so. And even just a little bit earlier when you were saying, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And so you're there in Tallahassee doing your advanced degree, and then you're approached by FSMA, or was it FMEA? Who approached you?
Yeah, it was James Perry. He was the executive director for both FMEA and FSMA.
Okay.
And because my first year working on the PhD, I didn't get an assistantship, so I was working at the Claude Pepper Center at FSU as a web developer and tech support, basically. So their office was right across the street from the School of Music, but I was kind of there just to work on their website and any kind of.
You're getting your 2-in-1 right there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, any tech support stuff that they needed in that office, but I ended up just doing my homework most of the time in that job. But then James Perry found out that I was doing that, and he knew me from my work at the the FBA Technology Committee as well in the earlier days of MPA Online. So they were looking for somebody to redo their website. So he just basically hired me to redo the FMEA and FSMA website, which was all combined into one website at the time. So yeah, I did that, and then got to know kind of the tech people that were already in the office. I had worked with Oscar Samuelson before on the early stages of MPA Online when they just wanted to get the reports and stuff online for and entry and stuff like that. And we had some meetings with Oscar and James Perry, and I think that his name Chuck Fulton was like the president-elect for FBA at the time, and he was in on those meetings. And so I had known James Perry just through that, and while I was a band director.
Yeah.
And so when he heard that I wasn't a band director anymore and was doing web stuff, he just reached out to me and asked me to
and I think this is like a really important role at the crossroads, because you're getting in here. You've been a 10-year teacher. You're now working on your PhD, and you're also filling your love for your technology as well.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they start to offer you these jobs. But the crossroad is you're also seeing that there's needs here, not only developing the web, but the forms that we're doing. And we were kind of we moved from the stickers and posters to the typewriter to the festival program, to basically you've created this MPA Online.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit, because at this point now in your career, you're full-time, you finish your doctorate, and so now here you are as the technology kind of influencer here for our music program. So how did that come about? Did somebody approach you and just say, look, we got to move out of the old Stone Age to the 21st century, or Or did you just kind of see that we had problems, from your teaching and say, look, we can fix this and make it better?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both, I think. Because in my early stages working for FMEA, I was just doing the website, just the public-facing website, basically. And the Oscar Samuelson was the technology professional here, but he had resigned a year or two prior to that, and so they were trying to bring in people randomly and all that kind of stuff. So eventually, I just took over more and more of the technology duties in the office, and then. They were working with a consulting company of programming team on MPA Online and trying to take what Oscar did and evolve on that, and it was just getting too expensive, and they weren't it just wasn't very efficient because they didn't have clear guidelines as to what exactly it needed to do and specific specifications and that kind of stuff. And so James Perry just decided that to ask me if there's something that I could do, just with the help of the consultants maybe. So for the first year I kind of worked on alongside the consultants, but it was mostly me writing all the code and everything, and just referring to them if I had any questions or needed any help with anything. And then as a former band director, I knew basically everything it needed to do, all the specifics, and what the old version was getting in the way of things, and how to streamline it into what the perspective of what a band director or what a music teacher needs to see, needs to be able to do, they need to be able to click on, what information we need to ask for, that kind of stuff.
And I think that's what the beauty is, because you were again developing all this stuff, but you already had the experience. You weren't just some third party. You were an insider.
I've been around since the typewriter forms.
And you saw that development.
Yeah.
So now we're probably in 2010, 2012, around this time. So what else have you? Well, maybe at this point you could kind of tell us. So now that you've been here for some time, maybe 15 years. In this
15
role?
Or 16, something like that.
15, 16 years. So tell us, what is your official title? What is it that you do day in, day out?
My official title is Director of Information Technology and Web Developer. What I do day in and day out is basically all the technology stuff. I handle the website updates, but also programming for stuff like MPA Online, the association management system, the conference registration system, membership, and we also, FAEA is also in our office, Florida Art Education Association, and so I do conference registration. They do a student art assessment where teachers upload images of their student art and they're adjudicated and stuff like that. So,
well, one thing I think that blows our mind as a music teacher is whenever we have a problem, we can just reach out to you, no matter how convoluted the problem is, and we just feel like in 15 minutes you've already fixed it or it's done.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a second. Mm-hmm. So is this just like an innate talent that you have of decoding problems?
I don't know. I always try to look at the clearest path forward. So if I'm getting a lot of feedback on somebody asking a lot of questions about one particular thing, I'll just think, what can I change in the user interface, or what can I rearrange on the page to make it more obvious that, the answer to their question, so they don't need to, ask the question or whatever. And a lot of it also is just bugs. All software has bugs, and especially in the early days of MPA Online, there were a lot of bugs, a lot of problems, where people were like, I'm trying to do this, but it's not letting me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I see the problem, once I get into the code and see what's happening.
I just love how you have different perspectives on problems, too. Yeah. Like, you literally put yourself in the shoes of maybe the district chair or the band director or maybe the executive director. How do I take this information, this data, and crunch it to use it where I need to use it? And right. I just think you're just a genius, really, honestly. And I think everybody would agree that it's like unfortunately take advantage of you, of your brilliance.
Yeah.
You know, honestly,
Well,
it's
I
kind
wouldn't
of
call
like.
it that.
Well, of course, because
It's-
you're humble, but
Yeah.
we do. You know, we do. We're like, yeah, Josh Bula, we need help.
Yeah.
And then you just do it. And so I'm just going to say on behalf of everybody, first of all, thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate this role. And we appreciate how you developed and evolved the role. And as our needs and our demands change with technology, we appreciate that you evolve and change and help us, again, with these different perspectives. So
Yeah, it's
thank
my
you, thank
pleasure.
you.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Well, that's kind of like your path.
Yeah.
So let's talk about maybe some fun things about you. Tell me, what are the fun things in your world? What are your hobbies? I've heard that you're quite the DJ. Is this a true thing?
I used to be a DJ. Yeah.
I hear you
I've-
sometimes still DJ.
I've dabbled in the DJing. I haven't really done it anymore for
Oh, okay.
last few 4 or 5 years. Since before the pandemic, really. I haven't.
So how did that come about? And was it just like
I was.
you were curious, I'm going to try it, or is it just a fun hobby, or you were doing this for a friend?
I mean, again, that kind of goes back to my childhood. Also, I was a big Radio Shack fan back in the day. Growing up as a little kid, my parents had like a turntable and a hi-fi system, and all these records like from the Beatles and just classic rock from the 60s, and or I guess back then it wasn't classic rock, but it was just the
right.
music from the rock music from the 60s, 50s, and so forth. And so I was always interested in electronics and how the record player worked and all that kind of stuff, and the amps and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I was always like buying stuff at Radio Shack. And then in high school, I actually got a job at the radio station in Stark. My dad was an advertiser and knew people there and knew the morning guy there, so I got to sit in on the morning guy doing the radio show in the morning, and then eventually they let me run the board and stuff like that. So
How fun
yeah,
was that?
it was a lot of fun. And then it was I was on this band trip to Europe. It was it's called the Spirit of America Marching Band, where just people from all over auditioned and got to put together this little marching band show that traveled and did the show in Europe all over the place. And at one point we were in a party in Amsterdam or somewhere, I forget. And I remember there was a DJ there, and I remember seeing him with the two turntables and mixing music from one turntable to the other, seamlessly beat matching it where it sounded all like just one continuous song for the entire night. And I was just kind of fascinated by how he was doing that. So and I just started
Well, that's a cool story
that
too.
out.
You got your roots from a European DJ in Amsterdam.
Right, yeah. And then I didn't actually start doing it seriously until I was actually teaching at Newberry and living in Gainesville, and I became friends with a DJ at a club there. And he taught me
set up something in your room, your bedroom. You get all these turntables and
yeah, but
scratching. I don't even know if people know how to do that anymore. So
yeah, I never really did the scratching and the hip hop kind of stuff. Mostly just the house music where they just play it and
the break dancing. You got to do the break dancing.
Breakdancing.
So so that's a fun thing that you do. What are some other fun things in your life that that's maybe different, or it could be along the same line as technology?
Yeah, I mean, technology is the main thing. Just trying to keep up with that. And last few years, I've been kind of focusing more specifically on associations and how associations are using technology and what kind of tools are out there. And there's a lot of off the shelf solutions and stuff that are accomplishing what I wrote from scratch 10, 15 years ago. So I think my next thing is just to kind of see what else is out there, how that can evolve, and what's next for the evolution of those kind of systems within our office, and see how we can maybe migrate to something that might have even more benefits. And data is a big keyword right now in the association and I mean management space, marketing space in general. So everybody is analyzing data and trying to monitor user behaviors and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I think and with the FMEA starting to do a lot more marketing efforts, getting with a marketing firm and all that kind of stuff, I'm interested to see technologically what their recommendations are and how we can kind of just improve the marketing of music education in general.
So do they come up with the idea and then they run it to you and say, Josh, is this something we can develop?
I don't know. That's what I'm assuming. We're in the early stages of it right now, so we're just kind of.
I love an example of data is I can go pull up the music list, solo and ensemble list. I can pull up a clarinet solo. I can pull up the Copeland clarinet concerto, and I can see how many times that piece has been played in the past 5 years.
Right.
Now, is that something you did?
Yeah, somebody asked me for it, I think. I forget who asked me, but but it's, that's just an example of more and more people asking for more and more data. The more stuff that goes online and the more technology evolves. And
I just recently discovered you can do the same thing with concert music.
Yeah. The concert list, it's actually on the list itself now.
Yeah, you can click on that and find out how many times it's been played since, 5 years or 2013 or whatever.
I think it goes back to 2010, 2010, something like that, yeah.
I think it's brilliant, and what a great tool, especially for young directors that maybe is not familiar with literature. They can see what are the more popular things.
Right, yeah.
Now, is there a way that you can incorporate how many times people got superior or excellent? This piece was paid 42 times, 35 superiors.
The data exists on the server, so it would just be a matter of writing a query to pull it. So we can do that.
Well, it's awesome. So where would you like to go? Is there something that you would like to say to us that we need to be helping you? You're kind of the do it guy. Do you need more creative things to be working with, or are we giving you too much as it is?
I don't know. I kind of try to take the requests as they come and try to schedule them. It is getting. As technology is growing and as AI is growing and becoming more and more important to everything in our lives, it is becoming more of a more than just a one-person job, I think. So I think that the next step would definitely to be try to start hiring more people into the team and stuff. So if anybody's out there that is into technology and
there it is. Look right at the camera. We want you to look at us.
Let me know. We might have some job openings available soon, but I don't know. It's budget depending. And all that stuff, so.
And what's amazing about people today, where you, what do we call it? An immigrant to technology. These kids are native to technology. They're doing it when they're 3 years old. Messing around with iPads, and it's like, they know more than me.
Right. Yeah. So it would definitely be nice to be able to put together like a team, and I'm not much of a manager though, so I don't know. It'd be weird being a boss to somebody, but I think we're definitely getting to the point where I'll be hiring some at least freelance help to kind of make sure that we can.
That sounds awfully exciting.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh, Josh, I'm so happy for you.
Thanks.
Well, again, just a big thanks for all the things you do there. We've tried to cover, your origin story. We tried to cover out your band career, but it's much more than just band. You reach all of our components and our state, and I think the state of Florida is so fortunate to have you, and I feel like you've just come around at the right time. I feel like you're really at the right place, and you have the right unique skills to really develop that, and I think we're all really, really blessed and fortunate.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to kind of cover or share? Is there one story or memory that you feel that might be important for a young director or an old director that keep on doing it? Or
I don't know. Not that I can think of. It's I don't know. I've definitely enjoyed it, and I hope I can continue doing it for the foreseeable future. So,
well, I can tell you, I know everybody in our professions wish that you keep doing this too for a long, long time.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know that being from the band component, I know our executive director Neil just worships the ground that you're on. So, he wants you to stay here forever. So, stay healthy, stay fit. And well, thank you for taking this time, Josh.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
thank you for, having the passion in both worlds, music and technology, and you being creative enough, to make that work. I think you're really, really lucky,
Thank you.
And, you've lost your maybe bottom rung on the ladder of being in the student classroom, but you've climbed that ladder where you've reached so many people. Your circle of influence is so big, not just, directly to the student. It's obviously indirectly to the student, but directly to those educators, to those teachers, that, we're trying to make it easier for our kids. It's, as it's very stressful to teach. And, we're asked to do so many different things. And you try so hard to make it easier for us. And I know many, many times I've just watched your videos on how to do's, and I just think you're brilliant. And again, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right.
It's my pleasure. Appreciate it.
All right.